Keep on riding with us as we continue to broadcast the balance and defend the discourse from the Hip Hop Weekly Studios. Welcome back to Civic Cypher. I am still your host, Ramses Ja.
He is Ramses Ja. I am Q Ward, and you are tuned in to Civic Cypher.
Indeed you are, and we need you to stick around because we're not done yet. We are going to be talking about the viral video you may have seen on your socials of police smashing the window of a black driver in Florida and then punching him in the face over a headlight dispute and snatching him out of the car, and all the officers started yelling to stop resisting even though he wasn't resisting and beating him while he was on the ground. So yeah, if you saw that video, we're going to talk about that. And we need you to buckle up because that one's going to be the heavy one. That was about as disturbing a video as I've seen. And it wasn't even a video where somebody lost their life. So not looking forward to it. But before we get there, it is time right now to be a BA, become a better ally, Baba. And today's Baba, we want to kind of share an example of an ally in Greensboro, North Carolina. This comes from Fox 8 News. If you want to check out the full story, check out myfox8.com. Love when we get to use Fox. Democratic Governor Josh Stein has vetoed 3 controversial bills that would roll back diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives and impose new limits on transgender rights in North Carolina. The legislation mirrors a broader national movement championed by President Donald Trump to dismantle DEI efforts in government, education, and business. One of the vetoed bills would ban DEI-related hiring practices in state and local agencies, while another would restrict divisive concepts in public K-12 schools and universities. Quote, "They're targeting specific minorities. That's a fact," unquote, Cameron Martin said, a graduate student in sociology at UNC Greensboro. Quote, "We're not teaching our kids to be inclusive," unquote. The third bill, originally proposed to combat online sexual exploitation, was amended to include a ban on gender-affirming care for incarcerated individuals and new rules on birth certificates for transgender residents. Stein criticized the Republican-led General Assembly for prioritizing culture war legislation over passing a state budget, saying in a statement that the bills, quote, "would marginalize vulnerable people and also undermine the quality of public services and public education," unquote. Desmera Gatewood, program manager at Democracy North Carolina, said public reaction to the vetoes will likely vary. Quote, "It's going to be interesting to see how people respond to the governor. I think he does have a certain level of support in different places, regionally in different demographics," unquote. Deborah Maxwell, president of the North Carolina NAACP, said the measures threaten free speech and equity in public institutions. There have been people going undercover recording facility and getting people fired for making positive DEI statements, unquote, Maxwell said. So, yeah, shout out to the governor of North Carolina holding the line. We appreciate you. All right. So, Q, you saw the video of, his name is William McNeil Jr. I think you're the one who sent the video to me. Do you remember the first thing I said to you after I saw it?
I do not.
Okay. I remember saying, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, if this jogs your memory, but I remember saying something like that like it was so disturbing, even though we have had to watch videos of people losing their lives. I don't think anybody should, any decent human being should be consuming content like that on a regular basis, but this is the nature of the work that we do. And we don't overwhelm ourselves out, just for people that care about Q and My's, safety and mental health and so forth. We do take terms when we have to process traumatic videos and content to kind of make heads or tails of it. But this one was so disturbing to me, even though it wasn't someone losing their life. And I think part of what I said was the way that he looks into his camera. So for folks that don't know, I'll get into the story from the Black Information Network, but just let me paint the picture of how this hit me. The gentleman is sitting in his car, William McNeil Jr. He's sitting in his car. He turns on his camera, starts recording, and sets the camera on his dashboard. So the camera is facing him, and you can see out of the driver's side window the police officer yelling through the window that he needs to open the door, get out of the car, that sort of thing. And William McNeil Jr. is saying, I asked for a supervisor. I want a supervisor. Get a supervisor here. I'm not getting out of my car. I'm not doing any of that. Get me a supervisor. And he's glancing at his camera while the officer pulls out a baton and starts trying to break the window. And the look on his face was a look of acceptance, but not a positive acceptance, not a okay, well, let's let this happen. It was more of a heartbreaking type of acceptance. When the glass broke, he kept looking at the camera. He didn't look away. I'm sure that was very loud. Have glass breaking right next to you. He was unmoved. He continued to look at the camera. And then the first thing that happens is the officer punches him through the open window, right in the face, right in the jaw. And you see him eat that punch like an adult man. Men have a lot of strength. Punched him in the face, overhand right, with all his might. And he just ate it. And he kept looking at the camera. And it was like, it makes you want to cry. It makes you want to cry, man. It's just like, it is a very disturbing video. And I remember having this moment with you, Q, and I was like, I wish I didn't see that. Like, I know I have to. I know why you sent it to me. I know that we both have to see it and we both have to talk about it. You know, why would God make us like this to endure this? You know what I mean? Like, there's so much unfair about that. Does that jog your memory a little bit?
No, it absolutely does. And
Yeah.
I wish, I hope that we get a chance to get to know our listeners. We often talk about stories like this and you guys will hear Ramses chuckle. I promise that's not because it's funny. And I know it's hard without context to place that in a way. It's not satirical. It's not making light of. I akin it to a trauma response because the alternative is to break down into like voice trembling tears while trying to do this show. I saw that video and it enraged me. And I saw so many videos since in the last few days that I was brought to tears today in the middle of my day, surrounded by strangers in very, very public view. But I could not help myself because it is emotionally exhausting to have this be our perpetual truth. You asked about God, and it's very, very hard to maintain belief and faith in a higher power that would allow for the same group of people to oppress, beat, kill, abuse, attack, murder, rape, kidnap, traffic, the same other group of people for all of history. And this karma that you speak of never shows up. The fruit that should be born of planting these types of seeds never happens. That harvest never shows. They reap chaos, violence, evil for all of history. The same victim over and over again. Once upon a time, people gathered to see it. And then for another amount of time, people pretended that it stopped happening. And here we are with people gathering to see it again. And it's the highest rated show on television. It's the highest clicked show on the internet. And you get outrage and you get tears and you get anger and you get heartbreak, but you don't get change. You don't get progress. You don't get any sizable, reasonable shake to the system. There's some payouts sometimes, but pennies. They took that young woman's life in her bed. They gave her family $12 million as if that was supposed to soothe their hurt. as they charged none of the officers for killing her. This young man's face was not just acceptance, it was like a goodbye.
Yeah, that's
It
it.
wasn't like I'm about to get beat up. It was like,
That's
okay,
it.
this is the end.
That's it, Q.
There's
That's
nothing
what
I
it
can
looked
do.
like.
This is the end, and there's
Ah,
nothing I can do. So I have to just accept that because at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, with no weather, I'm being pulled over for not having my headlights on in inclement weather,
that's it. Well said.
and then arrest for resisting arrest. So how do we get here again? If I wasn't being arrested, how would I be resisting arrest? So how am I being arrested for resisting arrest? And then beat, and every officer getting their lick in. Let me get my turn. Because they get off on it, because they can, and nothing will happen. White supremacy has never known how to hold white supremacy accountable. These systems were set up to function this way. And now some people, bless their hearts, think that it's wrong, but it's too late. The system has been allowed to function the way that it does forever. And not enough people who aren't affected by it care enough for it to change. And this is a both sides of the aisle discussion. None of you have ever done anything to fix it. None of you. I don't care whose name you interject. I don't care whose name you insert, whose campaign you insert. None of you have ever done enough to change it. The guy in office now bullies through every piece of legislation that he wants. He doesn't care who agrees. And it got him to the point where now everybody just agrees. Government and private sector. So when we had the levers of power, when we could bring about change, we did nothing. George Floyd was a moment, and the whole world knew it was a moment. You had the moral upper hand to bring forth sweeping change, and you did nothing. And once they saw another moment where the whole world was watching, where the whole world agreed that something was wrong, and nothing happened to them, not just business as usual, but worse. And now they have the endorsement of the highest seat in the land to displace, harm, beat up, run over, stomp on anyone that they disagree with, anyone that they deem less than. And they understand that the worst that'll happen is they'll get reassigned. I just won't work for this agency anymore. If I go to jail, I might miss one of my kids' birthdays. What of your progress? My time, my son's time, my father's time, his father's time. You guys keep accepting this as truth if you want to, and keep hope alive to yourself, because that's becoming very, very impossible for me. To keep pretending that I think things are going to get better for who, when, where. Irresponsible of me as a father to continue to let my family live their life in this society where all of you have shown that we're not worth anything to you. The man got his teeth knocked out in a concussion for not having on his lights in broad daylight. And even the police reports say that there was no rain and no inclement weather.
Yeah. So let's actually.
He still got charged, by the way.
Yeah, no, I saw that. Let's read this, because I wanna make sure that this is stated for the record, so people know how to follow this part of the conversation, because you're right where we need you to be. This is from the Black Information Network. A black driver is seeking justice after a Florida police officer broke his car window and punched him in the face after he was pulled over for not having his headlights on. The encounter between William McNeil Jr., 22, and officers from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office unfolded during a February 19th traffic stop. Viral video of the stop shows an officer asking McNeil why he was driving without headlights, to which the driver said, "There's no rain." Quote, "It doesn't matter. You're still required to have headlights on," unquote, the officer said. The driver asked to see that law that supported the officer's comment. The officer said he would show it to him once he agreed to exit his vehicle. McNeil asked the officer to contact his supervisor before the police smashed his car window. Exit the vehicle now, police said. An officer then punched McNeil in the face and again ordered him to get out of the vehicle. McNeil complied with an officer's order to show his hands. Police proceeded to open his vehicle door and drag him out of the vehicle before appearing to beat him to the ground. Following the traffic stop, McNeil said he suffered a chipped tooth, stitches in his lips, a concussion, and short-term memory loss. Jacksonville Sheriff T.K. Waters announced Sunday, July 20th, that an internal investigation had been launched into the viral incident. Quote, "We are aware of a video circulating on social media showing a traffic stop represented to be from February 19, 2025. We have launched an internal investigation into it and the circumstances surrounding this incident. We hold our officers to the highest standards and are committed to thoroughly determining exactly what occurred," unquote. McNeil has retained civil rights attorney Harry Daniels and Ben Crump, quote, "to help him fight for justice following a February 19th incident when JSO officers violently smashed his window and punched him in the face multiple times after he asked to speak to a supervisor," unquote, his legal team said in a statement. Okay. I also want to add that there's another video of the incident, the officer's body cam footage. If he didn't have this video on his phone, we would have never known about this incident, by the way. So if William McNeil Jr. didn't put the phone on his dashboard, we'd never know about this incident. So I want you to bear this in mind, that the times that this happens, you know how I think most people understand that black people, black men especially, get pulled over more often than anyone else, right? So these types of things do happen, as we've seen based on the video evidence. People don't always record their video evidence. People don't always have clips in their car to hold their phone up. People don't, whatever. And in this video, right after they took him out of the car, punched him in the face a second time, slammed him on the ground, the officer reaches in and turns his video off. You see that in the video, okay? So a lot of people will push back. I want to say just a couple things before we get back to you. I hope we get back to you. But a lot of people will say, well, why didn't he just comply? That's obviously the number one go-to for people, right? This video is proof of why simply complying with police orders, particularly when it comes to step out of the vehicle, is especially scary, right? I don't want to get out of my car at all. Please get your supervisor. I want the boss here, because y'all could be roided up, angry, former high school bullies turned professional bullies, and I'm a black man, and y'all pulled me over for some headlights in the daytime. And now you're trying to say, oh, it's inclement weather. You need your headlights on for inclement weather. You're going to have to show me that law. Matter of fact, give me a supervisor, because I don't think this is safe for me.
You also don't need for that law to tell you whether or not the weather's bad.
Right. It's not raining.
Not only can you see it on camera, but even the department acknowledges that it was not inclement weather.
Boom. Thank you. But for people that ask why didn't he just comply? That's why. The police are scary. The police have been scary my whole life. There has never been a time ever since I've been alive. And I suspect there's a lot of people way older than me. There's never been a time in their lives when the police were the good guys. Okay. I've seen police do worse stuff than gang members. I seen it happen when I was a little kid on the side, on a freeway overpass. I saw it happen. I told the story before, but I saw the police pull somebody out of their car at a red light and then sit him on the ground and take his head when he's sitting on the ground and smash his head into the side of a car. It was a white car, and he dented his car with his head. I saw it happen.
That video that you showed me with the protesters of the chaplain, the person getting beat up is having their face smashed into the concrete.
Ground. Yeah. So this is what I know. This is the LAPD. Remember them riots in 92, them riots? That's the LAPD that I saw. So this idea, just comply with the police. No, the police are scary. Asking for a supervisor is definitely on brand. Okay. Why didn't he roll his window down? He said at the beginning of the traffic stop, the window was broken. And the police video footage shows him open the door and have a conversation with the officer initially. And then once the officer started kind of bobbing and weaving, like, wait, you're supposed to have headlights on when it's raining. It's not raining. So you pull me over for the headlights? Well, yeah, you're supposed to, for any inclement weather. Oh, okay, listen, you're going to have to get me a supervisor. I don't know why you pulled me over. And then, of course, people are going to say, well, he had a suspended license. People don't always know when their license is suspended. Q, can you back me up?
And that's not why he got pulled over.
No, not at all.
That's not even the reason that they're alleging he got pulled over.
Not at all.
They could have retroactively lied there, and they didn't.
But, you help me out. It is possible to have a suspended license and not know it. Am I right, Q?
I had a suspended license plate and didn't know it.
Boom. Easy, right? Now, I don't think anybody would profess to say that Q is a criminal or is deserving of the type of treatment we saw on that video, and so forth and so on. And the truth is, the officer at the press conference, the black officer, and to be fair, there was a black officer on the scene as well, also punching.
Important to
William
point out,
McNeil
Ramses. I'm glad you brought him up. Sheriff TK Waters.
There you go. Talk to me, Q.
He is the boss. He's everybody's boss.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that the supervisor that showed up wouldn't have been him. But considering he's everybody's boss, his opinion is that no laws were broken in that stop.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? And we can see the video, and they will distort reality for enough of the population that want that distorted reality to where we don't get enough. They just need to hear someone
say it.
Say again?
They just need to hear someone say it. Oh, he said it. No laws were broken.
That's it.
What you see doesn't matter. He said it.
So I say all this to say that I understand your frustration, Q, if anybody does. You're never going to be alone. I'm always going to be here for you and support you. And I'm glad we get to at least share these topics with our listeners, because the hope is that our listeners will help us create a better world for all of us. But with that in mind, that's the end of our show this week. So thank you for tuning in to Civic Cypher. I've been your host, Ramses Ja.
And I am Q Ward. We do not love how heavy this show has to be. But these stories are the reason that this show exists in the first place. Someone has to tell the truth, and we're going to tell it.
And we appreciate you listening. We know that you could be listening to people making you laugh. You could be listening to people talking about culture and all that sort of stuff. We used to do that. That was our fun job, and we had to do this because it was important. So we appreciate you. If you want to lock in with us during the week, do so at Civic Cypher on all platforms. You can hit me at Ramses Ja.
I am Q Ward on all social media as well.
And then until next week, y'all, peace.